Hey everyone, it's Nadia from Leah Dia Designs and I'm back with another tutorial. Today I have something super exciting. Everything that you see on screen here is from Temu. And yes, I know the arts and crafts world has been absolutely buzzing over the last couple months about Temu and all their great products. So I wanted to try it for myself. And so today I have a project that won't be a surprise for anybody that has followed me for a while, and that is I want to create a stained glass style piece. So I was able to pick up a bunch of items that are similar to what I would normally use for stained glass, but one main difference is going to be that I'm using gouache paint today instead of things I normally use. And if you have been watching my videos, you know that I really like trying new products, new mediums, to get the things that will give me that stained glass look that isn't necessarily glass paints or things like that. So I wanted to try this and I think it's going to work out. So we will see how we do. So one of the things I want to talk about though before we get started is just the reason why Temu has been so talked about recently, and that's got to be the number one reason has to be their pricing. Like honestly, because their pricing is just so affordable for artists or just arts and crafts people who maybe they just want to do it as a hobby on the side, or it's like a little side business and they can't really invest a lot of money to it. Temu is offering great products for just discounted pricing, and they have sales all the time up to 90% off. They have free shipping, free returns. So it just gives those who want to try something new, or maybe for a new technique, or they just want to find better pricing for products similar to what they already use. It just gives them more opportunity to do that. So if you are interested in any of the products that I'm showing today, there will be links in the video in the description below this video, as well as a link for the actual Temu app. And I believe there's also a code in there that's going to give you a whole bunch of coupons adding up to about $100. So there's lots of fun things to try. And like I said, they don't just sell arts and crafts. They sell lots of other things too, but obviously today we want to focus on the arts and crafts. So we have these products here. Again, I'm going to be listing them all in the description below this video. And I don't remember all the pricing for everything, but as we go through the video, I will somewhere put in a list so that you can kind of get an idea of the pricing. So then this way that can help you make up your mind if you think it's a good deal or not as well. All right, so let me get myself sorted out and then we'll get started. All right, so ready to get started. And the first things I have here, I just wanted to show you really quick. This is, I can't turn it because I have water in it already, but this is like a paintbrush washer, which I will be using later on. So it has a little reservoir here for water, and then it has, you know, you can wash your brush, which I just think is so cool. And then when you want to change the water, you can just press that. Isn't that so neat? And it just collects down the bottom, and when you're done, you can just rinse it all out, and I think it's really neat. So that's fun. So that's something we're going to be using today. But to get started, we have these acrylic sheets. So many of you know that I normally work with resin, but these acrylic sheets actually work in a very similar way, and they already come to preset to size. And it just has a film on it. That was a crazy noise, but it has a film on it just to protect it. So here we go. So now we have our little canvas, you could say. So we have that. And then, and these come, there's a package. Again, I'm just going to have the links in the description below the video, but it does come in a pack. So you get a whole bunch of them in the package. And today I'm going to be using acrylic outliners. So these ones are a little different than the ones I normally use, but they look really pretty. Check those out. Those colors, those metallic colors are really pretty. So the only thing that I wasn't sure about when I got these was the size of the nozzle. So normally I do quite detailed work, and the nozzle on these are a little bit larger than what I'm used to. So what I did is they also had these bottles, and I have a whole package of them here so you can see. So they had these bottles, and the tip on these are smaller. So I think these are going to work out. So I just took these paints and I just literally poured some into those bottles. So these applicator bottles, I think, like I said, the tips are a little bit more fine. So it allows us to get a little bit more detail. But if you're working on a large piece, maybe like a large canvas or something and you need thicker, broader lines, this will be perfect for that. So depends on what it is that you're working on. But today we're just working on a little, I think this is like a 5x7 piece here. So we want our lines to be a little bit on the thinner side. Okay, so I have my sketch here and I just made a monstera leaf really quick because again, I wanted to do something that's simple, but we're gonna make this a rainbow monstera leaf. So again, I have my acrylic here. This I just sketched out. I actually used pencils that I got from Temu as well. Everything in this video is from Temu. So we have our pencil. So I sketched that out and then we're gonna put that right on top here. So that is our template to be able to outline. So today we're gonna be using the silver. I'll probably be using the gold at another time in another video maybe, but for now I want to use the silver. So I have that here. And there's just a little bit of silver paint because I filled this a bit earlier just to check the width of the paint line. So it looks pretty nice. And again, I don't know how quickly these dry. So this is all part of the test that we're going to be doing today. So let's just quickly see if we can outline this. All right, so there we go. That didn't take long. It is a very simple design, but again, I wanted to keep it simple because this is just kind of, you know, trying out some new products, and I think it looks pretty nice so far. Now, the paint does spread a little bit, so you want to just try to make your lines thinner, or just have them a little bit more spaced apart from each other, so this way they don't blend as much. I did want them touching in some areas, so those are fine, but I wanted to make sure like these little gaps in between, we kept a little bit extra space around them or in between them, so this way they wouldn't like bleed together. But I think overall it's gonna hold its shape really well. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna leave it to dry. Hopefully it's gonna take about an hour or less, and I'll come back and check it, and once we have that done, we can start adding our colors. All right, so it hasn't been an hour yet, but I want to get started. So I'm going to remove this now, and we have that. So, and it looks pretty nice. Look at that. I think it has a nice finish to it. So hopefully I'm not going to mess it up because I know it's not 100% dry, but best to wait till it's 100% dry, but I'm anxious. So I'm going to just try to do this quickly. So I do have this tray here. Oh, let's move that. So I do have this tray here, which I'm going to be using for mixing. And these are the gouache colors, or the set that I'm going to be using. So let's open that up. And it's 36 colors. So there you go. You can see it's a great selection of colors. And I'm going to be mixing it with this. It's called a diamond painting sealer. So for like diamond paintings and puzzles. And so basically it's kind of like a varnish, but it's a sealer. So it's a bit thicker, it's clear, non-toxic, it's glossy, it's all those things. So the only thing I did notice when reading this is that it takes about 15 minutes for it to surface dry. So that is a little bit quick. So normally I would mix all my colors and then just paint with them, but because I'm recording, I might take a bit longer than that. So I'm just gonna mix a couple colors and then paint, and then I'll do the rest of them and add them in. I'm gonna do it all in time lapse so you guys will see it all. But just so you know why I'm not mixing everything at once is because I don't want some to start drying before I get a chance to actually add them onto our piece. But to show you how it looks, the great thing about this, I did a little test earlier, and the great thing that I noticed about it was that I don't need a lot of color, a lot of the pigment from this to tint the sealer into that kind of transparent stained glass look that we're going for. So I'm just going to pour some in here. We'll do about that much. And one of the colors I want to do is this pink. So it's a really, and we're going to be doing a rainbow Monstera leaf here. So we're going to be using a few of the colors, but you can see how nice and pigmented this is. So it would look amazing on canvas, I'm sure. And even the little brushes are from Temu. So I'm not going to need a lot, literally just enough to kind of fill this paintbrush. We might need a little bit more, but you'll see that we're just going to do like this. Now I am going to stir a little slowly just because I did notice in my earlier test that this sealer does capture bubbles, and it is a bit thicker than some of the other sealers and varnishes that you may see out there. So we want to make sure that if we do see bubbles when we're painting, we're going to try to pop them or eliminate them as much as possible. So similar to resin, we want to be careful with the bubbles in this product, but overall you can see that we're getting a nice, can you guys see this over here? We're getting a nice transparent look. All right, so I'm going to add a touch more just because I want the color to be a little bit darker. And same thing, just trying not to create too many bubbles because this medium does dry quickly. It doesn't really allow a lot of time for bubbles to escape. So if we can minimize the amount that we have, it should help us. So we'll do that. I am going to do one more color before we paint, before we go into the time up. So just give me a second. I'll be back with that. Okay, so I decided to add 2 more colors because I want to do the top in these other 2 colors, and then we'll continue. So I did want to mention before we continue though that if I'm sure there are people who are wondering if we could not just use the gouache directly onto the acrylic. As far as I know, that should be fine. I'll do a bit more research to figure that out, but I think it would be fine. If anything, you have to just let it dry and then probably seal it in some way, probably with something similar to this. But because I want that transparent look, that's why I'm thinning it out with this sealer. If you use it just the way it is here, you're going to get a much more opaque and just a very vibrant color. Just it's going to be very opaque. You won't be able to see through it. So, and we're trying to do stained glass, so we do want it to be a little bit see-through. So let's try it here. So as you can see, it is a little thicker because it is a sealer. It's not watery. It actually is almost like a kind of like a gel almost. And you know, those of you who work with resin, it would kind of give you that impression that it's got that viscosity of resin when it starts to thicken up a bit. So we have that, and we're just going to go ahead and try to fill this in. And again, my lines are not 100% dry, so I'm going to try not to touch them as we're painting here. And like I said, I do want to get a bit of that see-through look, so that when I gotta fill that a little bit more, so that when we hold this up to the light, that light will shine through it. So let's take a quick peek what we have. So as you can see, it has that kind of look, which is what we're going for. And once it dries, I'm sure it will be even more so. All right, so we have that color, and then I did use the blue. So we're putting this on this side. So that looks pretty nice. Like I said, those colors there. And so I'm going to go ahead into time lapse now. I'm going to add in our pink, and I'm also going to mix up some other colors and get this whole thing painted, and we'll come back to see how it looks when I'm done. Okay, so done painting and I really like how it looks. I think the colors are really vibrant, but still with some transparency. It is the gel, I guess the sealer, is moving a little bit, and I think that's just the case because it's an acrylic, and I actually ended up taping it down to the table so it wouldn't move, and also to try to keep it as flat as possible so that everything will kind of stay in their place as much as possible. But I'm also just going back in and kind of touching up any areas that, you know, where the liquid has moved a little bit. So just doing that, but otherwise I think it looks really cute. So I'm going to let it dry, and I have been trying to pop bubbles along the way. So I think overall we're looking pretty good for all that. Wasn't too difficult. I think the main thing is when you're stirring, like mixing the color in here, we just want to make sure we're stirring really slowly so we're not, just like resin, we're not agitating it and causing bubbles. So in any case, I'm going to let this sit and dry now, and we'll see how it looks, well, for me tomorrow because it's late right now and I'm gonna go to bed and wake up in the morning and check it out. All right, so it is the next day and everything is nice and dry. I removed the tape. So this is how it looks. Isn't that cool? And so it's still, as you can see, it still have some transparency in there. And I think it worked out great. I mean, there are a couple little bubbles, but definitely not anything that's going to ruin the look here. But I think it's super cute. Oh, and there was one more thing I wanted to show you. Was I got these little stands also from Temu. And because I thought, how cute is it that you could just put it on a little stand and now you have a little display. So anything you create on a little piece of vinyl like this, you can display it. So there we go. I love it. I think it turned out super cute and a lot more, it was a lot easier than I was expecting. I wasn't really sure how the gouache was going to work, but it worked perfectly with this diamond sealer. So that worked really well. And the acrylic paint that we used worked really well as well. Again, I put mine in these the smaller nozzle bottles, so this way I can get a thinner line. But if I was doing a large canvas, I would definitely use the bottle the way it was. And yeah, so paintbrushes and everything else that I showed, even the little tray, which I still have to clean. I was waiting for everything to dry out. But so everything was from Temu and it worked out awesome. So anyways, guys, so if you want to try it out, again, all the links are in the description. And I do actually have actually one or two more videos with some other Temu products coming up soon. So if you want to check those out, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below if you have questions, or if there's if you're looking for a specific product that maybe I forgot to list in the description or whatever. Feel free to let me know what you think, and especially what you think of the result of this. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.